What is up, y'all? Welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. This is your host, Michael Roscoe, and welcome to episode 43 and the fourth live stream of the show. I'm so happy to be doing this and so happy to see people coming in each week so far as we begin this live stream journey. We got a lot to talk about in this episode, but before we get into all that, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Philadelphia Water Dogs Premier Lacrosse League team for their performance this past weekend. The Water Dogs, like I said, they're from the PLL. They had their season opener against the defending champions, the Utah Archers, and the Archers were up 12-4 with a quarter and a minute left to go in the game. And within the last 22 minutes of the game, the Water Dogs score 7 more points to make it 12-11. But unfortunately, the Archers have an amazing goalie who managed to save back-to-back shots within like a 10-second span. And the Water Dogs dropped their season opener. Still, hell of a game. If you're looking for a Philadelphia sport during the summer when there's not a whole lot besides baseball, go check out the Philly Water Dogs lacrosse team. They did really good. All right. This week, we're going to start off with some brief NFL news because there was a bit that came about this week before we dive into our Eagles discussion, mainly about, big time contracts, OTAs, mini camps. We've seen a lot go down this week. A lot of other Philly podcasts and shows on YouTube have been reporting about it. I'm going to report about it, but also give some opinions, thoughts, discussions, kind of get the brains going for the audience and seeing what they think as well. So starting off with some NFL news. Hall of Famer offensive lineman Larry Allen, who spent most of his career with the Dallas Cowboys, passed away suddenly while on vacation in Mexico at the age of 52. Allen was an 11-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion, with that being the last time that the Dallas Cowboys won the championship in 1995. As of right now, I do not believe a cause of death has been officially reported. An absolute legend, and here at the show we offer our thoughts, prayers, and condolences with the Allen family during this very difficult time. In other NFL news, the Washington Commanders have released kicker Brandon McManus after reports indicated that he is the subject of a civil lawsuit for 2 counts of sexual assault claimed against him during a flight from London back to the States when he was with the Jaguars. These allegations of sexual assault are being taken very seriously, as any allegations of this nature should. I currently don't know more about what's to come of that, but if McManus actually did that, he absolutely should be tried and punished for it. There is no room in this world for that kind of monstrosity. And in other news, an interesting signing to the Buffalo Bills. Gable Stevenson, an Olympic gold medalist wrestler, is now entering the NFL as a defensive tackle, signing with Buffalo this past week. We're starting to see this trend of athletes from other sports like wrestling, rugby, take a splash into the NFL world at a pretty huge gamble too. It's not easy to make it in the league, but we're seeing athletes come out the woodwork from all these other sports attempting to make a name for themselves, in one of the world's most dominant sports leagues. Very interesting indeed. We'll see how things go for Stevenson throughout his career. All right, y'all. Before we get into that Eagles discussion, I do want to, of course, give our sponsors the recognition that they absolutely deserve. So summer is basically here, which means you may be going to the beach, visiting friends, or taking that dream vacation that you've always wanted to. Wherever and however you get there, having snacks to munch on the way is vital. Like you should see the amount of granola bars in our car. Uh, so when you make a pit stop or while you're preparing for your vacation, don't forget to pick up some Righteous Felon jerky. For online orders, you can head to righteousfelon.com and use the promo code OCSN, all one word and lowercase, for 15% off of your order. And then any orders over $50 will receive free shipping. Additionally, you'll want to look your best this summer, you know? So why not go for Warlord Beard Oil? If you have a beard, you'll definitely want to keep it groomed and fresh all summer long. For that, use Warlord Beard Oil, a veteran owned company. Head to warlordbeardoil.com and use promo code Old Sports, all capital with E at the end of old, for 15% off your beard oils, washes, soaps, and so much more. Orders over $75 will also receive free shipping. Why not buy in bulk and get that free shipping? Get enough for the summer, make yourself look good, make yourself feel good. Go to warlordbeardoil.com. And finally, with the summer coming about, we have lots of concerts, we have lots of shows. So if you're dying to see your favorite concert, sporting event, or show, you'll want to use SeatGeek. Head on over to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your smartphone and use the promo code Old City Sports Network, all one word, for $20 off of your purchase. And you can use different emails for that. So go ahead and use that promo code as much as you want. That is Old City Sports Network, all one word. All right, y'all. Now I really want to dive into this Eagles news. We've had a lot to see through voluntary OTAs and the mini camps we've seen 2 of the 3 days so far. The third day being tomorrow on Thursday, June 6th. So let's dive into a little bit of Eagles news before we go into those big topics. So the first bit of news, it's not even really news, but it's news on paper, essentially. Eagles have officially placed Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox on the reserve retired list. So obviously, if a player retires after a season, or in Devontae Parker's case, right before the season starts, you'll get put on the reserved retired list. I don't remember exactly how long, but after a certain point, you're taken off the roster. It's not any surprise. We saw this coming. I mean, I'm wearing the Jason Kelsey jersey today. But it's just another realization that we won't have these guys on the field for the first time. And I feel like in over a decade. And it'll definitely be a weird, a bittersweet feeling. But I'm still very happy for both of their futures. And seeing Jason Kelsey on Monday Night Football. That's gonna be pretty sweet. I ain't gonna lie about that. In other news, Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson has become the highest paid wide receiver in the league, signing a massive 4 year, $140 million extension with nearly $89 million due at signing. Yeah, you heard that right. Due at signing. This not only makes him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, but this makes him the highest non QB paid player previously held by Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers, with an average annual salary of $35 million per year. Now, you might be thinking, Michael, why are you going into your Eagles news and talking about a Minnesota wide receiver? Because I'm going to tell y'all, because this signing came at a great time for your Philadelphia Eagles and a terrible time for a division rival in the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll tell you why. With Justin Jefferson signing, this totally resets the market, which was already pretty reset to begin with over the past couple of weeks. But this reset it again, the wide receiver market, which was already seeing an upward trend in massive contract numbers after the extensions of Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown. It just created a domino effect of these massive wide receiver contract signings. By getting these contracts out when they did for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Howie Roseman shows off his intelligence yet again, locking down both receivers through 2028 and them being one of the best duos in the league. You can't argue against that. It was absolutely genius of Howie to do. Um, and all before the market got crazy. I feel like he predicted that this would happen. He was like, I foresee a big time contract coming for Justin Jefferson. Let me get my guys locked in before it goes nuts. And that's exactly what happened. Um, Other wide receiver extensions prior to Justin Jefferson's included Jalen Waddle of the Dolphins with 3 years, $84.75 million, and Nico Collins of the Texans with 3 years, $72.75 million. It's fantastic news for the Eagles. As for our division foes in the Dallas Cowboys, this comes at an absolute miserable, terrible time for them. They might not be realizing it, but this was poor timing and poor decision making by Jerry Jones, because they have yet to extend their all-pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb to any contract extension at all. One of these days, I'm going to watch your video and you're going to have some questionable stuff behind you. Thanks, Wade. That was a comment while I was checking that real quick. But back to the CeeDee Lamb contract dilemma. Even as an Eagles fan, I can unbiasedly say this. CeeDee Lamb is a fantastic receiver who last year put up numbers reasonably and comparable to Justin Jefferson. And if the Cowboys want to keep him, they're going to have to pay up big time. And in addition to this year, they have to figure out these other contract situations. Quarterback Dak Prescott's contract ends at the end of the 2024 season. He's going to be looking for an extension. So you'll want to figure out, do you hold on to Dak or do you let him go and draft a quarterback this year like we saw a bunch in the first round with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, you name it. If you keep him, he's going to expect a massive contract too. He's seen all these quarterbacks get massive contracts. I think he's still like in the 40 millions range. You got quarterbacks making 51 million, 53 million, 55 million, $52 million a year. He's going to want that payday. Then you have Micah Parsons, who's at the end of his rookie contract, and I imagine that he'll need to get paid big time to remain a Cowboy. He's one of the best edge rushers in this league, and he's still getting paid, like, I think, rookie contract level pricing, if I'm not mistaken. They need to pay him if he wants to remain a Cowboy. If they plan on keeping all three of these players, the Cowboys got to figure out something. But back to the Birds. I'm glad that the Eagles GM and the front office run things the way they do. There's been massive blunders from them in recent history prior to this, such as the $50 million in dead cap for a few years back after the whole Carson Wentz debacle. But it seems like they're learning from their mistakes. Other teams, GMs and front offices, they don't seem to be able to replicate what Howie Roseman can do. Their methods, their negotiation style, whatever it is, other teams just can't seem to do it. And people are questioning how Howie does it every single year. They can question all they want. I don't care because it's working for us. And honestly, this looks like with the way that Howie's been doing things, we're going to be in a good position in several years, unlike the Cowboys are in right now. They got a lot to figure out. But that is a them problem, not a Birds problem. All right, moving on to a different topic for news. The Philadelphia Eagles add more depth to the best offensive line in the league, signing offensive guard Max Sharping 1 day ahead of the mandatory minicamps, which started this past Tuesday on June 4th. Going into his sixth season in the NFL, the Houston Texans drafted him in the second round of the 2019 NFL draft, and he spent 3 years there before playing 2 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, including the year that they went to the Super Bowl. Um, According to the Philadelphia Eagles website, Sharping comes in at a whopping 6'6" and 325 pounds, an absolute astounding size to an already large offensive line unit. Additionally, last season, he didn't allow any sacks or commit any penalties across 13 games played. Now, I know what you're thinking. How much did he play in those games? Um, how many snaps he had in those games? I'm not sure. But even if we're just looking at him purely as a depth signing individual, it's a great signing in my opinion. I have similar opinions at the moment with the Mekhi Becton signing. A player with good potential offers great depth replacements for those that we lost in Jack Driscoll and Sua Opeta. And these were guys that Jeff Stoutland had interest in. He'll fit in well in Philly. And additionally, Max Sharping has a charity foundation called the Stay Sharp. Sharp is spelled SCHARP, the Stay Sharp Rescue Foundation that specializes in animal rescue, including over 100 rescued dogs. If you'd like to know more about or donate to the foundation, I'm going to put the link tree to their organization in the episode description on Spotify and a few other places like the YouTube version of this video when I save it and upload it. All right, moving on. We got some OTAs. Voluntary OTAs wrapped up this past week, and out of the 2 days that were open to the media, there's a lot to talk about. Are interceptions a problem once again for Jalen Hurts? DeJean is getting starting reps at the nickel corner, tons and tons of position battles, and more. While there's a lot to talk about, I'm only going to touch base on just a few of these topics so I can squeeze in some time for those mandatory mini camps that we've just seen this week so far. So without further ado, we'll dive into those topics right now. So starting with Jalen Hurts, is it hurting to see interceptions? He's been receiving some criticism for interceptions, an eerie feeling as he threw almost three picks on one of the OTA days. But here's the real question. Should we be worried about interceptions going into the rest of the offseason? Short answer, no. Long answer, here it is. First of all, it's 1 day of practice that wasn't great. Every single player, whether you were a rookie or an 11-time Pro Bowler, has a shitty day at practice. Analysts need to get over it and stop blowing it out of proportion, especially guys like Craig Carton, who are just notorious Philly haters who just love to take any moment that is a common moment on any other team and be like, Jalen Hurts is trash. Like, dude, get over it. Your takes on Philly are just horrendous. But anyway, it's being blown out of proportion. It's 1 day of practice where interceptions were bad. No need to freak out. Second, these interceptions were in an area of deficit from last year, which, if you all don't already know, is targeting the middle of the field. Something that I have stressed about numerous times in previous episodes regarding how we didn't target the field at all for whatever reason in any of the games last year. It's called a deficit or an area of need for a reason. It's the weakest point with Jalen Hurts and the offensive unit right now from last year's collapse and everything else. So the more reps you target towards the middle of the field, of course, there's going to be more opportunities for an interception to occur. That's just how it works. So to me, fine, get these mistakes out of the way before it actually matters in week one moving forward from that. Get them out of the way early and keep practicing it to perfect them for when it does actually matter. I don't care about interceptions in OTAs. I start to care about them when they're continuously happening. in the regular season. Third, I think the interceptions in OTAs are more of a sign that the defense has gotten better than it is Jalen's performance. Various reports indicate that Isaiah Rodgers has been balling out in OTAs, making one of those interceptions off of purely a fantastic read. He made a play on the ball and made an awesome interception. That's great for any corner to do. And we would more so pay attention to the talent of the corner than the lack of competency in the quarterback if you saw that situation with any other players. The other interception was a tipped ball from Devin White, that was caught by Zach Bond. I'll talk more about the linebackers later because I actually have a separate discussion for them. But all of the quarterbacks, including Kenny Pickett, Tanner McKee, Will Grier, were struggling with interceptions that day. So if the first, second, and third team defenses are making these types of plays, then to me, it shows a massive improvement in the defense and the players are thriving in the Vic Fangio schemes. Another observation, Cooper DeJean has been seeing first team reps at the nickel position, which I think is awesome. I think it's fantastic. The thing about we haven't seen a starting Caucasian corner since Jason Sehorn in 2003. Everyone's blowing that statistic up, whatever. I could care less about that. I care about if he's an awesome player and getting the chance to play. But I think all the reports of him taking these starting reps are a little exaggerated. You'd have to dive deeper into articles, videos, research, etc., to know that certain players had been absent in the voluntary OTAs and have been moved around in various positions. For example, Avante Maddox, who traditionally has played nickel, was playing safety in CJ Gardner Johnson's absence. So, of course, that nickel slot becomes open. They're going to throw Cooper DeJean or any player on the first team. But they wanted to see Cooper DeJean in the nickel with the first team. And I still think that's awesome. I think it's just a little, the reporting on it is exaggerated. Additionally, guys like Darius Slay and James Bradbury had their various absences. So, of course, you're going to have to fill in those roles within your depth chart players. So, long story short, the sample size is small to make any quick judgments or decisions. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that Cooper DeJean has been thriving in OTAs and camp so far and is looking to make a major splash in the NFL. Next, one of these things I want to talk about, the linebacker position. I'm talking about that interior linebacker position. I've been intrigued by what we've been seeing so far. We've seen Zach Bond and Devin White as the starters, but we've also seen Nakobe Dean rotate in as the green dot. The Zach Bond starting role, I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised. When I first heard about the signing, I was like, okay, we got an interior linebacker. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Probably won't be, the starter. Will make a big splash like we did with Devin White. But he's exceeding my original expectations. And this whole revamp at the interior linebacker position has me thinking positively. People were harping that Howie still doesn't value the Mike/Will linebacker positions as he does with edge rushers, defensive linemen, or any other position for that matter. By not making a monster signing for that top linebacker in the position, besides Devin White. You could argue that was a monster signing, but there were more talented guys from last year that you probably could have gotten in free agency. Not saying Devin White isn't talented, but the other options were there. Now, I think the Devin White signing was significant, but he did face criticism heading into the OTAs after all that occurred with his performance last year. However, he's out here getting PBUs and creating interceptions, which, is awesome in my book. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Plus, they're slowly making progress with Nakobe Dean, who is young and athletic, but I still stand by my opinion that he needs this to be a breakout season for him. Next, within the OTAs, the wide receiver 3 position. This position battle is on and it is intense. You got veterans in Paris Campbell, John Ross, Joseph Ngata, and Britton Covey, as well as rookies in Anais Smith and Johnny Wilson, all making names for themselves, not only for a roster spot, but a chance at that wide receiver 3 position. Now, in episode 41, I had talked about whether we should seek out a free agent veteran or stick with what we got for that wide receiver 3 position. On Monday, Bleacher Report came out and mentioned that the Philadelphia Eagles as a potential landing spot for current Broncos wide receiver Cortland Sutton. Now, I get it. The idea of having Sutton, a receiver who scored 10 touchdowns last year and is an experienced veteran, is enticing to have at that wide receiver 3. However, I stand by my current opinion on looking internally at that position. It probably, in all likelihood, probably be at minimum $15 million to even get him on the team. And sure, we have almost $27 million in cap space still somehow after the post June 1st uh, date. But I think with the current talent that we have at that wide receiver position, plus with the overall talent and flexibility we have in the pass catching situation with Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Kenneth Gainwell, you could even argue Will Shipley, and of course, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, it wouldn't be worth it financially to add Sutton onto the roster. I don't think Sutton is a bad player at all. I just don't think there is a need for that veteran signing at this moment. Could that change in the future? Sure. But I'm talking about at this moment. I don't think that is the need. All right. Going into, I think this is our last big topic, the mandatory mini camps. So for the Philadelphia Eagles, mandatory minicamp officially started this week, running from Tuesday, June 4th through Thursday, June 6th, before they officially break for the summer. Now, here's what I've seen so far in doing my media dives on YouTube, Twitter, any kind of social media you can think of, and my thoughts and discussion for what we've seen so far. From Tuesday alone and continuing into Wednesday as well, but starting with Tuesday, left guard Tyler Steen crushing it in camp. They say he's gotten faster, he's gotten stronger, bigger since last year, and he's looking to be an excellent successor to Cam Jurgens. Sorry, right guard, not left guard, right guard. Um, an excellent successor to Cam Jurgens as he is sliding over to center, because he was handpicked by Jason Kelsey after he retired. Coaches and teammates have been praising him all camp so far. I love hearing about this, and I love this for him, and I can't wait to see how he does come week 1. Another notable topic, Landon Dickerson's absence. No need to worry, though. It was an excused absence for a personal reason communicated a couple of months ahead of time. So we saw Mekhi Becton filling his role today as Jeff Stoutland explored and praised Becton's versatility between the guard and the tackle positions. An excellent depth player to have who can play multiple spots on the O-line should we need a substitute at any point. Um, we also got Keely Ringo starting opposite of Darius Slay in the first team 7-on-7s on Tuesday, while Isaiah Rodgers and Quinyon Mitchell were your second team outside corners with Cooper DeJean at the nickel. Ringo's had a strong camp, and in Tuesday's camp, he had a great PBU up against Paris Campbell, who appears to be the front runner in that wide receiver 3 position battle, but also providing excellent blanket coverage against AJ Brown. However, we've heard a lot more about Isaiah Rodgers in OTAs so far. It'll be interesting to see in what's becoming that CB2 battle. And I just updated this right before the show. For Wednesday's minicamp, we did see Isaiah Rodgers back in that starting position for the 7-on-7 outside corner opposite of Darius Slay. So obviously, it seems like they're trying a few different guys at that position. I'll get into more about why James Bradberry isn't playing there in just a sec. But, we're seeing Rogers, we're seeing Keely Ringo, we're seeing Cooper DeJean in the nickel, we're seeing Avonte Maddox and Tyler Hall in the nickel. We're seeing guys everywhere and anywhere that they could be, honestly. Um, Speaking of James Bradberry, though, he was taking reps at safety. Yeah, this is interesting because the idea of this has been seen before. There was a guy on the Steelers who, you know, a legendary player, had a fall off year, made a position move, and made a name for himself again. Am I saying that's going to happen for Bradberry? No, but um, the idea of it is interesting to see. Now, in the Tuesday press conference, that's where they confirmed this, that he was moving to that safety position, which to me is not a bad thought. And I'm going off the notes on this one. It's not a bad thought, and here's why. We were decimated at safety last season. We talk about the cornerback or the corner position being decimated. We barely had any safeties. There was no safety in the safety position, pretty much. With Reed Blankenship getting hurt, Justin Evans being hurt all season. Um, oh gosh, Sidney Brown getting injured in the last game of the regular season. We had no safeties. So, it helps to have a veteran move to that safety position. Um, my thoughts on that, though, is when you think of safety for the Eagles, we think CJ Gardner Johnson and Reed Blankenship, guys who can hit and guys who can tackle and make tackles. Reed Blankenship has been a tackling machine leading the defense, I think, at least the past 2 years, at the very least this past year. I don't know about the year before. But, you know, I feel like because they've, at least Reed Blankenship, felt like he was the one who could make those tackles when others, he may not have felt that, but he was like, I'm going to make a play on this. That was the only guy really that was going 110% on the tackles. And it cost him. He got injured. So I don't like having to see him feel like he needs to be the one to make the play when we have corners, we have linebackers, we have defensive linemen, anyone else on the team who could tackle, but apparently they couldn't tackle last year. And we saw that piss poor attempted tackle on like a wide receiver 4 for the Bucks from James Bradberry in the wild card last year. So I have mixed reviews about that. And before I even get into that, James Bradberry was playing like 10 minutes of safety before he got injured. Watched the rest of camp yesterday and watched the rest of Wednesday's camp too. They have not specified what those injuries are. I think there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories going out there that he knew about going into safety. So he's going to have an injury, quote unquote, and, kind of rebel against the concept. Of course, people are going to speculate and make up a whole bunch of shit for whatever reason. But what I think of this is kind of like a fresh start, you know. By the way, June is not only Pride Month, so happy Pride Month to everybody out there. We are an inclusive podcast here, so if you are against what the Bible says when it comes to love your neighbor thy yourself or whatever religion, honestly, you could be not religious. We are inclusive here. If you're going to spew hate against the LGBT community, you can go somewhere else. But in addition to Pride Month, it is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think of what I saw from last year. I feel like James Bradberry's mental health might have taken a hit. He felt incredibly responsible for the penalty that cost so to say, the win against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And then he goes on to have a terrible year. I'm honestly wondering what is his mental health status right now, what he's feeling emotionally, because that could have been the thing that is impacting his play, is that he hasn't had a lot of help for his mental health. I don't know if he's had help or has been seeking like therapy or anything else, or is even in that position to begin with. But as someone who works in behavior it would not really surprise me if that was the case where, the reason for this kind of decline in performance is due to, mental health issues that could stem from feelings of depression or anything like that. Again, this is all, opinions on possible thoughts. This is not actual medical diagnosis or advice or anything like that. This is just what I'm thinking from just pure observation. So I'm wondering if this move to the safety position is like a fresh start and, that first step into helping his mental health. I could be, overthinking a lot of this for sure, but it's possible to think about, you got a fresh start at a new position, you have the chance to learn, you have the chance to grow. You're still kind of in the spotlight with the media and all that stuff, but I think, new position, new start. You're getting yourself back up to that all pro status that you want to be at. Um, so we'll see how this goes. I mean, we saw him not participate today, so who knows what that means? They say injury. It could be injury. We don't know much about the status of the injury. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that is all of the topic points that I had for tonight. I appreciate everybody joining and hanging in here. I'm going to put the OCSN socials and the podcast second and 15 socials down on the banner below. Um, if you like this, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On Twitter and Instagram, you can follow the show at Second and 15. It's also below my name. Pointing in the wrong direction, my bad. But it is at Second and 15, which is 2NDAND15. You can also find this on YouTube and Facebook with the full name Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. Remember, we are presented by Old City Sports Network. You can find them on the same social media sites: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Those are all below at the bottom of the screen. Please go and support Old City Sports Network as well as the podcast. Every like, share, subscription, story, you name it, it really does help us all out here. Um, it helps with publicity. It helps with, just the feeling of being supported by those watching. So go ahead and like, subscribe, follow those social media accounts, turn on notifications so you can hear, not hear, wow. So you can see when we are having new content out. Our YouTube channel is fresh. We have episodes 40, 41, and 42 on YouTube. You can find that at the Second and 15 channel. And one thing that I also keep forgetting to mention is the podcast has merchandise, y'all. You can go to oldcitysports.com and click that merch banner, and you can use the promo code that is at the top of the website page. When you click on that merch section, I think it's like 15% off. Who doesn't love a good promo code and discount? Use that to purchase, Second and 15 merch. We got mugs, we got cups, we got ornaments, dog tag necklaces, more, you name it. Go ahead and make a purchase with that promo code. Again, it'll really help out not only our podcast, but it'll help out the network as well. And with that note, I thank everybody for coming out and watching. I really appreciate y'all. Stay fly like an eagle. And as always, go birds.